Today is still Saturday, 11th of March 2017. It is now 1935 Central European Time. I was planning a little more down the lines of what FTL is going to do for those who don't bother or can't remember to watch my videos, or that is, can't remember the details that I watch in the videos. FTL is going to be a state-owned company in Thailand publishing direct pulp literature, okay, not literature but for entertainment purposes, Thailand Trivial Literatur. And they're going to have 3 different pulp magazines published on a regular basis. In addition to that, they're going to have cheap paperback, a cheap paperback series of books with science fiction, fantasy, and horror novels. Half of them being reprints and half of them going to be new novels. And I was going through my recollection and, you know, looking around a little online on what kind of novels I might want to have them reprint and so on and so forth. And there also will be an anthology series. Every 7th of these paperbacks will actually be a reprint anthology. That is, it won't reprint a previously existing anthology, but it will reprint existing short stories in an all-new composition as a new anthology, so to speak, but those are all existing stories. And that brought me back to the mostly American. I also I went through a couple of interzones, even older issues, and there's a lot of Drek and Interzone. I do want to point this out, as in low-quality Drek, not Inhumane Technologies or any such. Not exactly a prime magazine, but so be it. So the stuff of American rags was much better, much better. And when it comes to Isaac Asimov's magazine, that one named after him, Isaac Asimov Science Fiction Magazine, which started with the spring 1977 issue volume 1, number 1, spring 1977. You can Google the cover. It is a red cover where you have Isaac on the cover looking at you, not precisely smiling. Turns out that thing is a little hard to get hereabouts. You know, most of the American magazines are a little hard to get hereabouts. If anything, you can get them from Albion, but hardly ever from the continent. And the funny thing is, they used to have a German translation. I mean, that is not funny because they were very good business people. They had an Italian translation, they had a French translation. I found out that a little later, quite a while, like in the 80s or something, or was it already the 90s, I'm not perfectly sure, they had a Polish translation, and so on and so forth. So this is actually the German version. Namely, as you can see down here at the bottom, this is the first paperback. They publish this in paperback format, and they have selected stories from the original magazine in there that the publishers selected. And the very interesting thing, one would think that if you do a German version of Isaac Asimov's science fiction magazine, and the first volume of it should contain, or really, if not the first, then maybe the second or any, would contain that story which Isaac himself wrote for the very first issue of his very own magazine. Okay? One would think that's the kind of thing you would have in there. Oddly enough, it ain't in here, nor in any later edition of this is from publisher Heine. There was a woman who published this at first. It ain't in here. Why not? That has to do with the story. The story is called Think. That's what the story is called, with an exclamation point. And not as in, think, that is an order, but as in, think, you know, as in, imagine. Imagine that, just think, okay? That is what the story means. That is what his facial expression means. If you read the story, which, remarkably, is published in German after all, namely at a completely different publisher, namely Knauer, by Hayot Alpers, who, incidentally, see, I want to explain a little about how they fucked up German science fiction. The generation of Alper the generation of Fuchs, Ronald M. Hahn, them there fuckers, they conquered them right away. They wanted to avoid the situation they had in America. We had an older generation that was very smart and very well interwoven, networked, you'd say today, and that had a whole lot of insight from way back. So they wanted to rear the entire generation, and they declared them, the Faex Mundi and the Bitcoins in particular, who in former Germany and the German-speaking territory controlled all things science fiction. They declared these fellas, right, Hahn, Alpers, Fuchs, they declared these fellas the fucking experts of science fiction. They artificially created the, I'm not sure what to call this in English, the instance, right? I wanna read you something. On Fuchs, for example. Werner Fuchs, der Herausgeber dieser Anthologie und zugleich Herausgeber der Reihe Knaur Science Fiction, ist einer der führenden SF-Experten in der Bundesrepublik. Er ist Mitherausgeber eines SF-Lexikons und eines SF-Romanführers. Ja? Which means, naja, müsst ihr ihm schon glauben, ne? Weil der kennt sich aus, der sagt euch, was gut ist und was nicht gut ist und so fort, ne? And the funny thing is, a bazillion people would much rather buy this, cause A, it's with Heine and not fucking little Knaur, and B, it says Isaac Asimov and not nothing, which is why they hijacked that one story out of it. They had very little time for that, and it was known from the start that there'd be a German version of it, okay? They actually hijacked Isaac's inaugural, so to speak, introduction story of his first issue of his own named after himself magazine with him on the mark, with his mark on the cover, because of the story's content. The story's content, you should read the story, get a hold of it. Either you get a hold of it in a German version, which is published in here. This is, let's see, is there an ISBN on this shit? Apparently not. But just fucking Google it. Or you get the red original American edition. I'm not perfectly sure if the translation of this is very good, to be perfectly honest. Alpers translated it himself. You know, I done reading the story. It's not a very long story. It's about Isaac trying to tell people in the science fiction community that they should look into something, namely all of these fucking things, inhumane technologies, okay, that he, considering his scientific field, would not be given would not be believed if he were to bring these things up, but that people whose field that was should look into it. And the interesting thing is, assuming, that is the assumption, because I don't have the original version available, I may be able to afford it next month, I don't know. Reading the translation in here, I absolutely see right through the story. At that point already, he was actually experiencing and not quite grasping then his own phases, at the very least his own con-ego. And in addition to that, they had already then, or really not when this was published, but when he wrote it, I mean, it was published as the Spring 77 issue, which means that, you know, this most probably was printed in maybe late 76, and he must have written it prior, who knows how long prior. I don't claim to know what the build-up time for this publication was. So this was at the very least back in 76. Okay, I did make a video where I told you where exactly they conquered all of science fiction, the fucking Bitcoins, the fucking market, and this shit's been going in fucking Germany too. In fucking Germany, they outright, ja, die Bitchen haben sich verboten, also sie verbitten sich, dass da so Science-Fiktion überhaupt stattfindet und so, ja, und wenn, dann werden wir das sofort kontrollieren und mit dem Hirnbügeleisen durchfahren, ja. Yeah, I want you to understand how this generation, Alpers, Fuchs, Hahn, them fuckers, were real bastards. Real bastards. They were not aware, I take it, at least not at that point. It's been a whole fucking long time since then. Incidentally, there was a more recent magazine where Han and, I'm not sure it was Alpers or Fuchs or one of them was involved, called Nova Science Fiction. I have a fascinating little anecdote regarding that magazine, but we don't want to go there because that's a little off topic. Go read Isaac's story, Think. Okay? Read that story. And understand that what he tried to do, Isaac wasn't stupid. You mustn't read the story at face value. Okay? You must understand that he just created a story about it. A story around what he was actually trying to convey. But it is nonetheless as bloody obvious as he could probably make it. I understand at what point he was. I understand exactly how he must have felt, what he must have thought, and so on and so forth. What I'm trying to point out in this video, first of all, I generally suggest that people go read the story. It's not very good, right? It doesn't really serve any purpose. I do want to point this out. And the computer in the story that allegedly is talking is actually his con ego and or his phases. I want to point this out. He's one of the monkeys together with his wife and so on and so forth. He actually put his mug on the cover so that people would read the story and see, oh, that's about himself. Oh, wait, that's about himself? He made this as fucking obvious as possible. And yet, fast forward a few years into the early 80s, the fucking bitch queens had conquered it all. Okay? I want to explain that story. I want you to go read that story. I want to also point out that I think I aborted that sentence when I first started it a few minutes ago. At that point already, they had severely fucked on him. They weren't perfectly ridiculing him at that point, but they kept him in most probably a rather tamely flavored scenario app that kept him from actually understanding what truly was going on. Nonetheless, even within the scenario app that he was subjected to, he, being a very smart fucker, figured what was going on. Okay? I absolutely see through that. The guy's been dead for ages, though I do want to point out that my own personal lifespan and his do overlap. And I do want to point out that I've been the editor down the SFS, the FSF, mag, and so on and so forth, from back when he was still alive. I do want to point this out, okay? So there is a chance that back when there still was a shared mind, back when the Abwehrmacht and their fucking Dunst didn't really precisely figure that there were 3 master numbers by which I could be reached, and so on and so forth, that I had something to do with Isaac's mind, in a very indirect manner, okay? Not in 76 or something. No, I was born 76. I just want to point out to you, read that story called Think! From the first issue, Spring 77, Volume 1, Number 1, and then understand how fucking Alpers puppet for the bitch queens who tried to subject science fiction from when it was, for all practical purposes, beginning to be independent in German, so to speak, how he deliberately yanked that one story so that Heine couldn't publish it, where a whole lot of more people would be exposed to it. Okay? He actually yanked that story so that Heine would not publish it. That's what fucking Alpers did. And not because it was, oh, so great a story. It's a dreck story, actually, because it's not even a story. There is Isaac not crying for help. At all. Just as I am not crying for help, and was not ever. No matter what fakery and lies they tried to shove through the extraction fields while I was in it, what lies they present to you as well, these are the extraction fields, see how he cries for help and cries bitterly, and nothing like that. Okay? I want you to understand the German situation. Chances are you don't give a rat's ass. I give a rat's ass because it's the German language market, and ex-Austria, as it used to be, was part of that, right? It's not, I am not German, I never was German, but I speak the language German, and thus I was also subject to these ongoings. I want to explain it to you. Thank you.